Yeah, I'm trying to get it. Yeah.
Welcome to Boys in the Hood TV. Today we're going to be discussing the life of Big TC from the Schoolyard Crips. Now, Big TC was born Gabe Griffin in 1984 in Los Angeles, California. Now, he would be born into a two-parent home along with his brother and sister. His father, Tyrone, was a musician who played for the popular band called Lakeside in the 1980s, which was responsible for the popular hit record, The Fantastic Voyage. Now, Gabe, along with his siblings, would all inherit the music gene from their father, although their mother was against them pursuing that type of career. Now, Gabe and his older brother, Ty, were very competitive as kids and would always get into little scuffles with each other. Now, eventually, his older brother, Ty, would start singing at a very early age, which would have a big impact on Gabe, who wanted to be just like his brother. Now, for a while, Gabe had a good childhood, but things would start to change for him when both his parents would get a divorce. Now, with his parents splitting up, he and his brother would eventually live in different areas. Now, by the age of 12, Gabe would start hanging out on the block with some kids in the neighborhood and start getting into trouble. But eventually, he would start hanging around the Schoolyard Crips. Now, the Schoolyards are located in the Mid-City region of South LA, and they hoods sit between Crenshaw and Venice Boulevard. Now, they have been in this section since the 1980s and have been responsible for multiple shootings, murders, and drug dealings. Now, their main rivals are the Mansville Gangster Crips, and this is a bitter, violent feud that's been going on since the beginning. Now, Gabe will be sent out to attend Venice High School, which was a good distance from his hood. Now, this school was mainly infested with gangs like Venice Trece and Venice Showline Crips. Now, it wouldn't be too long after this that Gabe would get his put on to the Schoolyards. Now, he would represent the 4800 block, which is the 17th Street clique of the Schoolyards. Now, once he got his put on, he would start going by Big TC. Now, on the flip side, his older brother, Ty, will be affiliated with their rivals, the neighborhood Rolling 20 Bloods. But regardless of their gang affiliation, this will not change TC's relationship with his older brother, Ty. Now, TC will continue to run the streets, getting into all kinds of trouble before eventually getting arrested, and he will find himself being sent to juvie and having to sit down for a while. Now, by 2002, he'll be back on the streets. And of course, he would link back up with his homies from the block, and he would manage to stay out of trouble for a little bit. Now, also around this time, the Schoolyards will be engaged in a lot of beef in the streets, which would involve shootings and murders. Now, there will be some internal issues around 2003 after OG named KC would take the stand and testify against another Schoolyard Crip for a drive-by shooting that would cause the death of another individual. Now, by September of 2003, TC's girlfriend would give birth to their son, who he would name Shine. Now, this would be a life-changing experience for him, being a father. But only a month later, TC would be arrested and charged with evading a police officer, a hit and run, and driving without a license. Now, he would plead no contest, and eventually the suspended license and hit and run charges would be dismissed, and he would take a plea deal for the evading the police. Ultimately, he would get 3 years probation. Now, at this point in LA, the streets was plagued with a lot of gang violence, and there was ongoing war with multiple different rival hoods, which included TC's hood, the Schoolyard Crips. So like anyone that's active in the street, TC made the decision to always keep a gun on him at all times. But this choice would have consequences, and this would lead to him being arrested on the 10th of January of 2004. Now, he would be charged with an unlawful possession of a firearm. Now, during his preliminary hearing, he would plead not guilty, and eventually, by February, he would bond out. But only weeks later, on March 6th, at around 10:50 p.m., KC from Schoolyard would be out and about and standing near a bench at a bus stop on Washington and Vineyard Avenue. Now, while standing and waiting, suddenly he was approached by a man. Now, Ross would then turn and respond, "What's up?" And that's when the man would pull out a gun and open fire. Now, KC would be hit multiple times, twice in the head and once in the shoulder. The suspect would then flee the scene, and a woman by the name of Brenda, who's in the area, would come running up to check on KC, who was laying on the ground. Now, also on the ground was another man who's at the bus stop named James, who ended up being shot in his hand. Now, 911 and EMTs would arrive shortly after, and both KC and James would be transferred to the hospital. But not long after, 39-year-old KC would be pronounced dead. Now, police would interview the other victim named James, who would tell officers that there was a brief exchange between KC and the shooter. Now, the other witness named Brenda would tell officers that she did not see the shooter's face, but sometime later, she would change her story up, and she would pick out TC in the photo lineup shown by detectives. And on March 19th, detectives would execute a search warrant on TC's mother's home. Now, the only thing that they would find in his home was an envelope with gang graffiti. Now, not long after, TC would be arrested for murder and assault with a firearm on a person. Now, once in custody, TC would tell the police that he was nowhere near that scene, but he was at his girlfriend's house. Now, eventually, he would be charged for the murder and the assault with firearm. Now, during his trial, witness Brenda would tell the jury that she was walking to the store and that she saw several men standing at the bus stop, which included KC and also TC standing around. And that moments later, she heard gunshots, and when she went to turn around, that's when she claims that she saw TC standing there holding a gun with his arm extended out. And ultimately, TC would flee the scene. Now, TC's defense would argue that the police during his arrest admitted that they knew that TC was not the shooter, but that they needed him to tell who the shooter was. But when he refused to tell them who the actual shooter was, that's when they decided to charge him with the murder. Now, the murder weapon in his case was never retrieved, so the DA's entire case solely depended on the word of the witness named Brenda. Big TC would be found guilty of first-degree murder and assault with a firearm, and he would be sentenced to 67 years to life in prison. Now, following the trial, TC would immediately seek an appeal, but during his time, he would discover that his attorney had been disbarred from practicing law. But as the years went on, and his brother, Dolla starts to blow up in the music industry, Big TC would showcase his singing abilities by releasing multiple songs and videos while in prison.
Wait on me, could you wait on me? I love you, I love you. Could you stand by me?
And his brother Dolla would also eventually release an entire album dedicated to his brother Big TC. And as of today, TC is still fighting and appealing his case, hoping that one day he'll be released.
My little bro in prison for murder he didn't do. Everybody know he didn't do it, but you just get put in the twist sometimes.
I remember looking my brother in the face. I said, "You shot somebody? You know, you took somebody's life?" And he said, "Nah, I didn't do that."
I felt fucked up like anyone would feel when I found out that he was arrested for a murder, you know? How would you feel?
His main objective was, I've got to get my brother out. I don't care how much it costs or what I have to do, but I'm going to get my brother out of jail. And I just started crying and I was just so happy and so thankful that he remembered.
I had a lawyer that didn't do his job, and I paid the ultimate price. You know, music connects me to my freedom. It's a saving grace. Watching my brother, you know, do his thing, it's beautiful. It's amazing. Like I said, he ain't never done nothing else. It's just been music. This is his first album, you know what I mean? So, of course, it means everything.
I would like to thank everybody for tapping in, and I'll see y'all next time.